You are exhausted. Not the fleeting tiredness of a passing moment, but a deep metaphysical fatigue that settles into the very marrow of your soul. You have spent countless seasons trying to bend the heavy machinery of the universe through sheer willpower. You push against the walls of your existence, forcing circumstances, agonizing over outcomes, and desperately trying to manipulate the dense fabric of your reality so that it might finally bring you peace. Right now, pause exactly where you are. Soften your shoulders and draw your focus away from the immediate space around you. Take a slow, deliberate breath into the center of your chest, and for just 1 second, physically drop the immense burden of needing to control the next outcome. Let the sheer invisible weight of your endless struggle fall completely away. There is a profound reason why your relentless effort feels like a battle you can never truly win. You have been fighting an optical illusion. The physical three-dimensional world you inhabit is not a solid, independent landscape. It is a highly responsive, ethereal hologram. It is merely a mirror. It is. Attempting to alter your life by forcing external events is the exact equivalent of standing before a mirror and furiously rubbing your hands against the cold glass, desperately trying to comb the hair of your own reflection. It is an exercise in magnificent futility. The reflection possesses no inherent power to change itself. The hologram is completely deaf to your desperate pleas, and it is utterly blind to your physical exertion. It will never yield to your anxiety or your agonizing force. The quantum architecture of reality only obeys one absolute command. Imagine standing before a colossal, infinitely expansive cinema screen, desperately trying to wipe away the shadows cast upon it. You push against the heavy canvas, exhausting your energy to rearrange the shapes playing out before your eyes. This is the ultimate trap of the third-dimensional experience. The external reality you perceive is not the source of anything. It is merely the projection. It is the delayed, finalized echo of a frequency you emitted long ago. To fight the screen is to fight a fading ghost. The forms you see around you are solidified light, a manifestation of consciousness that has already collapsed from the infinite wave of probability into a rigid state. By the time you observe a circumstance in your physical world, it is ancient history. It is old light, much like the glow of a distant dying star that burned out long before its beam finally grazed your watchful eye. Let us step away from the canvas for a moment. Right now, allow your physical gaze to soften. Withdraw your intense focus from the solid objects dominating your vision, the textures of the material world. Let them all blur into mere suggestions of form, dissolving into a hazy ocean of atomic static. Draw your attention backward, pulling it behind your eyes into the silent expanse of your mind, and then deeper, dropping your awareness into the vast, dark theater of your consciousness. Breathe into this silent core. This is the projector room. Feel the steady hum of your pure awareness, completely untethered from the exhausting shapes of the outside world. Here, in this quiet null zone, there are no reflections to fight, no heavy matter to manipulate. There is only the electric potential of the zero-point field waiting for your resonance. Notice how utterly still it feels when you stop trying to maneuver external forms. You have just ascended the stairs, entered the sacred projection booth, and placed your hand on the glowing lens of the cosmic machine. When you anchor yourself in this invisible control room, the grand illusion loses its paralyzing grip. The fundamental deception of the holographic universe is the relentless belief that physical force is required to alter physical objects. The simulation tricks you into believing that the dense conditions of your environment must dictate your internal state of being. But matter is incredibly slow. It is sluggish and entirely devoid of independent will. It cannot create anything original. It can only obey the energetic signature it receives. When you attempt to bend your life through sheer exertion, you are pouring life force into an illusion, feeding the hologram exactly what it needs to keep you entangled in endless friction. You are standing before the universal mirror, screaming at the glass, demanding that the reflections smile before you do. The true architect of the cosmos never touches the mirror. They sit in the sovereign stillness of the projector room and quietly change the internal film. They alter the frequency of the light cast into the quantum void, knowing the projection must inevitably follow. Yet this profound transition of power requires an immense mastery of the self. The hologram possesses a built-in defense mechanism designed to test your resolve. There is a cosmic lag, a shadowy gravitational gap between the exact moment you change the internal light and the moment the external screen finally reflects the new world. And it is entirely within this silent, echoing interval that the illusion attempts to pull you back in, sparking a terrifying reaction from the mind. This terrifying reaction is born from a profound misunderstanding of density. The architecture of physical form is inherently sluggish. Unlike the instant electric fluidity of pure consciousness, the material plane operates under heavy, viscous constraints. When you alter the film within the quiet projector room of your mind, the old light does not instantly vanish from the grand screen. The quantum wave function requires a sequence of space and time to fully collapse into its newly assigned geometry, meaning the hologram will continue to broadcast the decaying remnants of your previous energetic state for a little while longer. This temporal delay, this inescapable cosmic lag, is the ultimate crucible of the observer. It is exactly here, in the echoing gap between your shifted frequency and the lagging physical world, that the analytical mind springs its trap. Your three-dimensional intellect is entirely blind to the subtle mechanics of the universe. It functions purely as a primal survival algorithm, heavily wired through eons of conditioning to believe only in what it can touch, measure, and physically resist. When you open your eyes and observe that your external reality remains seemingly unchanged, when the old chaotic shadows and familiar frictions still loom before you, the ego enters a state of blinding panic. It perceives the quantum delay as a profound failure of your spiritual mechanics. It immediately sounds alarms of false urgency, flooding your nervous system with the frantic belief that your internal stillness is a dangerous delusion. It whispers, and sometimes screams, that you must immediately return to the exhausting battlefield of forcing, pushing, and micromanaging every detail of your existence to survive. This is the ultimate self-deception of the Matrix. The illusion uses the slow, natural fading of old light to convince you that your new light is not real. The moment you succumb to this primal panic, you fall straight back into the dense gravitational pull of reactivity. You rush forward to manipulate the external circumstances, desperately trying to wrestle the rigid hologram into submission. But you must understand the uncompromising, cold physics of your own awareness. The universe is fiercely impartial. It does not respond to your verbal desires or your exhausted pleas. It responds exclusively to your active state of being. By reacting with terror, deep frustration, or a desperate need to fix the old projection, you are unknowingly pumping high-voltage emotional energy straight back into a dying image. Your anxiety acts as an absolute command, instructing the zero-point field to instantly rebuild the very structures you were attempting to dissolve. By fighting the ghost, you breathe vital life force back into its lungs, ensuring the simulation repeats the exact same agonizing sequence with flawless precision. To transcend this endless loop of holographic entanglement, you must become utterly immune to the delayed echoes of the material plane. You must recognize that the panic of the logical mind is nothing more than static on the cosmic radio dial. It is a desperate attempt by the old self to maintain its illusion of control over a timeline that has already expired. The true master of the simulation does not flinch when the mirror is excruciatingly slow to reflect. They do not drop their pristine vibration just because the shadow momentarily lingers in the room. Stepping into this level of mastery requires you to stand perfectly still inside the storm of the old creation. When the collapsing hologram violently screams for your reaction, when the fading echoes of your past desperately demand your fear and your frantic effort to intervene, can you look directly into the eyes of the illusion, completely withhold your emotional life force, and simply let the old world starve in silence? To starve the old illusion, we must confront the most insidious archetype dwelling within the analytical mind, the anxious watchman. Even when you understand the power of the projector room and cease your physical wrestling with the hologram, a quieter, agonizing habit often takes its place. The watchman paces back and forth along the boundaries of your consciousness, constantly peering through the curtains of the material world. You find yourself incessantly checking the physical plane for any microscopic sign that your reality is finally bending to your newly chosen vibration. This state of perpetual waiting is a catastrophic energetic paradox. It is the quantum equivalent of planting a pristine seed in the cosmic soil and violently digging it up every hour, just to verify if the invisible roots are growing in the dark. When you vigilantly check for proof of change, you are broadcasting a singular, dominating signal straight into the zero-point field, the frequency of profound lack. The universe, acting as the ultimate impartial mirror, does not process the carefully chosen words of your desires. It only processes the energetic texture of your waiting. To wait is to declare, with unwavering certainty, that you are currently separate from your own creation. Because the holographic projection only obeys the pure resonance of your present state, it receives your subtle desperation and flawlessly reflects that exact emptiness back to you. It meticulously crafts an endless continuum of not having it yet. By obsessively monitoring the canvas for updates, you freeze the quantum wave right back into the exact same rigid structures of delay. The very act of looking anxiously for proof is the exact mechanism that repels the outcome. Let us actively dissolve this hidden surveillance right now. Turn your attention inward and locate the physical sensation of anticipation within your own biology. It usually hides as a subtle tightness in the center of your chest or a microscopic clenching right behind your eyes. It is the physical manifestation of always leaning forward into the illusory future, eternally bracing for a result. Recognize this sensation for what it is, an invisible metaphysical fist desperately trying to micromanage the infinite cosmos. Take a slow, deliberate breath directly into that exact point of tension. As you exhale, imagine that tightly wound coil within your center, suddenly releasing, unraveling completely into infinite space. Feel the heavy armor of expectation dropping from your shoulders. Sink deep into the luxurious relief of having absolutely nothing to look for and nothing to verify. In this timeless present, there is no evidence to gather. You are completely whole, resting entirely within the pristine stillness of the void. If you can feel this rigid grip dissolving, if you are truly shedding the exhaustion of continuous surveillance, I invite you to anchor this profound release right now. Write the phrase "I release the watchman" in the comments below, planting a quiet flag of trust in your own consciousness. And if this sanctuary of deep, abstract thought feels like home to your evolving mind, subscribe to our frequency, joining this silent collective as we decode the grand architecture of existence together. Yet as you finally drop the exhaustion of monitoring the hologram, a vast and quiet emptiness rushes in to take its place. This profound detachment brings a beautifully liberating peace. But for an intellect that has spent a lifetime fundamentally addicted to the chaotic friction of the matrix, this sudden lack of gravity can feel wildly disorienting. As you step deeper into this uncharted vacuum, completely abandoning the need to force your own life, a new and deeply deceptive temptation begins to quietly rise from the ashes of your fading identity. As the heavy armor of anticipation finally falls away, you are immediately met with an expansive, breathtaking emptiness. This is the pure, unadulterated vacuum of true detachment. For a human biology that has been rigorously trained over a lifetime to survive through constant struggle, this sudden absence of resistance feels profoundly alien. The ego, fundamentally addicted to the dense gravity of conflict, looks at this infinite peace and immediately labels it as extreme negligence. It whispers that if you are not actively worrying, calculating or defending yourself against the chaotic fluctuations of the physical plane, you are somehow failing at existence. The analytical mind is utterly terrified of the void because, within the void, it has no tangible problems to solve, no physical enemies to fight, and therefore no reason to maintain its dominance. To escape the terrifying ego-dissolving vastness of total surrender, the mind swiftly constructs its final and most sophisticated camouflage. It dons the shimmering, deceptive mask of the cosmic savior. Having finally glimpsed the raw underlying mechanics of the universe, you look out into the holographic projection and observe countless other fragmented expressions of consciousness. You watch them wandering blindly through the heavy dream of the third dimension, bleeding their vital life force into circumstances they believe are absolute and unchangeable. Suddenly, a burning, almost magnetic temptation arises to reach out and violently shake them awake. You feel an overwhelming, urgent need to explain the quantum mirror, to decode the illusion for them, and to drag them out of their hypnotic slumber by sheer force of will. But you must recognize this noble crusade for what it truly is, a brilliant, self-righteous deception. Attempting to force another sovereign being to recognize the nature of the simulation before their own wave function is ready to collapse is simply a disguised, elevated form of trying to manipulate the external screen. It is the exact same frequency of physical resistance, only this time it is dressed up in the luminous, untouchable garments of enlightenment. Whenever you try to forcibly shatter someone else's illusion, you are broadcasting a profound lack of trust in the flawless perfection of the universal architecture. You are treating the projection of reality as if it is fundamentally broken and in desperate need of your frantic repair. If you require their consensus, if you subconsciously need the characters within the projection to agree with your awakened state in order for your own internal power to feel secure, you are still intimately chained to the very density you thought you had permanently transcended. You have merely traded the exhausted material struggle of the matrix for the subtle, spiritual struggle of intellectual dominance. The ultimate truth of the zero-point field is that the infinite universe does not need your frantic intervention to maintain its magnificent balance. The deep sleep of others is not a mistake. It is a meticulously designed geometry of its own, a necessary phase of their personal quantum evolution that demands your absolute respect. True cosmic mastery is an intensely solitary and profoundly silent endeavor. It is the quiet, uncelebrated ability to walk entirely untouched through a dense realm of sleepwalkers, radiating the pristine frequency of your own coherence without ever requiring a single soul to validate your light. You must withdraw your energy entirely from the exhausting crusade of convincing and boldly redirect every ounce of your focus back into the sovereign maintenance of your own internal projector. The grand final test of your expansion is not how many minds you can forcibly awaken, but how much profound unconsciousness you can peacefully witness without ever losing your own unshakable center. When the holographic world desperately demands your energetic intervention, and the sleeping actors aggressively try to pull you back into the suffocating drama of their three-dimensional nightmares, can you bear the immense, beautiful weight of your own silence, letting the entire universe dream its heavy dream while you remain the completely untouched observer of it all? It is within this profound, untouchable silence that you finally reach the ultimate threshold of your evolution. You have stopped brutally forcing the cosmic mirror. You have starved the delayed echoes of the past, dropped the agonizing burden of the anxious watchman, and surrendered the crusade of trying to forcibly awaken the sleeping dreamers. Here, at the very edge of the quantum void, the supreme mystery of the matrix finally reveals its core mechanism. You have arrived at the grand point of no return, where the overarching question of this journey demands its final answer. What does the infinite projection actually respond to? The hologram does not obey your desperate tears. It does not yield to your exhausted prayers, your towering intellect, or your relentless physical exertion. It is entirely, beautifully indifferent to the magnitude of your suffering. The quantum fabric of reality only obeys one sovereign command, and it obeys exactly this: the absolute absence of internal resistance. To truly grasp the magnitude of this secret, let us perform a subtle internal shift right now within the silent theater of your mind. Consider the frequency of the most persistent chaotic circumstance currently playing out on your external screen. Bring its turbulent signature to your awareness just for a fraction of a second. You can likely feel the immediate biological urge to brace yourself, a microscopic hardening of your spirit, as it instinctively prepares to defend, to fix, to violently wrestle with the hologram. This very hardening is the subatomic glue. Right now, deliberately dissolve that internal fortress. Imagine your energetic signature becoming entirely translucent, shifting into a boundless, permeable mist. Invite the terrifying momentum of that specific problem to rush forward, but simply allow it to pass entirely through the vast, empty space of your consciousness. Offer it absolutely zero surface area to strike against. Do not block it. Do not negotiate with it. Feel the staggering, weightless liberation that floods your system when you refuse to be a solid object in the path of the storm. By merely witnessing the turbulence without offering the friction of your fear, you are actively dismantling its architecture. This state of non-reaction is the hidden physics of the universe. Every single time you react with terror or intense frustration to an external shadow, you are actively supplying the energetic gravity that binds that specific geometry into a solid form. Your internal resistance is the exact friction that solidifies the hologram, trapping the light into a recurring, heavy nightmare. But the precise moment you withdraw your emotional engagement and shift into pure, unbothered observation, you pull the structural glue right out of the quantum equation. Without your terrified resistance to sustain it, the chaotic circumstance instantly loses its dense framework. It can no longer hold its shape in the physical plane. You literally watch the dense matter of your external world begin to melt, collapsing backward from a rigid obstacle into its liquid, infinite state of pure probability. At this breathtaking pinnacle of detachment, the grand illusion loses its grip entirely. You realize that the external projection was never a prison to be escaped. It was always a flexible, shimmering fluid, just waiting for you to stop freezing it with your own panic. By becoming entirely transparent, by holding no rigid emotional shape within your mind, you allow the entire universe to effortlessly reshape itself around your pristine peace. The imposing walls of the matrix collapse, not from a violent strike of your hand, but from the unbearable lightness of your absolute surrender. Reality bends, folds, and reorganizes itself in pure, flawless obedience to your sovereign stillness. But as the old structures crumble into dust and the quiet supremacy of the void takes their place, a final, beautiful mystery emerges. If you no longer need to fight, force, or bleed for the projection, how do you navigate the dense machinery of the waking dream? Releasing the heavy armor of force does not mean you abandon the physical rhythm of the human experience. You still move through the daily geometry of the third dimension, engaging with the ordinary choreography of the tangible world. But the underlying texture of your action has completely transformed. You no longer move from a place of exhausted compulsion or survival panic. Instead, every step is fueled by pure, unburdened inspiration and quantum clarity. The holographic projection continues to dance around you, but it is no longer your master. You have taken your rightful seat as the silent projector, watching fluid reality effortlessly organize itself around your permanent peace. If you have reached this final threshold, anchor your new timeline by writing the phrase "I stopped forcing" in the comments below. This signals to the quantum field that your struggle is over and proves you have walked this journey with us to the very end. If you enjoyed this transmission and want to continue exploring these profound cosmic truths, let your evolution flow naturally by choosing one of the videos appearing on your screen right now. And if you wish to actively support this channel while unlocking exclusive high-vibrational insights, consider becoming a member today. Return to the quiet room of your pure awareness and let the infinite universe do the rest.